Hey guys, JJ Racaza here. This part is kind of a sensitive part. It's how I became a world champion, and it's kind of a long story, but it started out in 1988. Saw my dad coming home with some competition trophies and stuff like that, and I asked him. At the time, I was doing a lot of martial arts, and he basically came home with these trophies, and I said, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing? What are you competing in?" And he said, "Shooting." And I remember him telling me that, and I remember asking him, "Is there anyone shooting back?" And he said, "No." And I remember thinking back right away to the martial arts that I was doing, karate at the time. I was getting hit, and I didn't like being hit. So I was like, "Hey, can I compete in this?" But I did like enjoy competition, so got interested in it. Start dabbling into it a little bit. My dad made me promise, and he's like, "Hey, if you dry fire for about 6 months or 3 months or whatever, however long it was, as long as you can draw safely, reload fairly quickly without dropping the gun or breaking any kind of the rules, then he goes, I'll take you shooting." And so what I did was I started dry firing. I just watched him dry fire once, and I followed what he did. We did a lot of draws, a lot of reloads, and I would just, his belt didn't fit me because we only had one little belt like this, so it was for him. So I would have my sisters or some of the helpers like hold the belt while I did my thing with the gun and dry fired and stuff like that. And I would do it for hours. For some reason, for ungodly, any unknown reasons, I don't know why, but I kept on doing it to the point where my dad would have to stop me because he was like, "This is too much. You've been here for 2 hours," or whatever. I just enjoyed the process of playing with the gun per se, and that's how I looked at it in a long time. Started to compete and started to do really well right off the bat. My dad was very strict in training because of obviously, as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid shooting a 45, 1911. It was very much of a stress on him because I'm now shooting around, not just shooting, plinking, standing still. I'm moving around with the gun. So he's very nervous. So he was very strict about it because he couldn't afford the mistake. He was alone. My mom was in the United States at the time. So fairly well. I got some attention from the local guys. And when you do something well, you like to do it again over and over. And then I remember seeing the improvement from week to week by just dry firing a lot. We didn't get to shoot a lot because rounds were expensive. But anyway, that's what it started. It started and created a habit for me early on in my career that the more I do something, the more I repeat something. If I'm working on a specific technique, skill set, the more I'm seeing the results, the more I start to progress. And I could see it week for week how much cleaner my draw was, how much faster my reload was. And if I saw someone doing something that I like, whether it was right or wrong, I would go home and try it out, and I would test it out for myself and figure out that whether it was a good technique or a bad technique. So that was all I did, was all visual stuff, and whatever I saw from some people that beat me and that was really good at the time, I would try to mimic their movement, and a lot of it was through movement, and that's how I grew up. And since I grew up in the Philippines and I did this in the Philippines, we didn't move till 1993. So about 6 years of good solid shooting in the Philippines at a pretty high level. In 1993, I think I placed 6th overall in the Philippines, just missing the top 4 spots for they were going to send them to, I think, Brazil or London at the time, World Championships. I didn't make it because at the time there were no juniors program for the Philippines. They didn't really support it. There wasn't much money in the sport, so I didn't quite get to go to the World Championships. So fast forward 6 years later, in 1999, we didn't get to do it. Obviously, you leave. We immigrated from the Philippines to the U.S. You sell everything, and you had to restart your life all over again. We didn't, we couldn't really afford much, whatever, in the beginning as we got our feet on the ground. Once we got here, we figured out and discovered shooting was close by in New Jersey. We thought that only happened in the West Coast, and it started to pick it up again. So the reason why I'm telling you guys all this story was that because I started in the Philippines, it was never a reality, or was it even a dream of mine to possibly win a national champion or a world title at one point. It was just to be the best me, and I enjoyed the sport, and I loved the gun industry, loved the community that I felt, the embracing of wherever I went in a range, and it was so friendly. So it was a quick way for me to integrate myself into another community here in the U.S. now. So in 1999, we started shooting again, started practicing. We met some like-minded folks, started encouraging me to come out and do competitions again, and started picking up the competitions. Since 1999, I haven't stopped since. And I did the same exact thing that I did in the Philippines because I knew it worked, and I'd won a couple of things in the Philippines. So I figured I'd do the same thing here and repeat that formula. Repeat, do it as much as I can, as fast as I can, with the goal of being the best self I can provide with a week for week and month after month. And because I could never shoot a lot because of my schedule, college, work, whatever it was, I would shoot once a week, maybe 500 rounds or so, and it was still expensive at that time. It's always been expensive. I would just chug dry firing, and I could still see progress happening. I could draw faster than most, I can reload faster than most, and I knew and I could attest that because of dry firing. So when I did that, I saw the progress that I had in regards to shooting, and all I knew was that if I just did enough reps with shooting, I can become one of the best. I just didn't know if I could even win a title yet. I came close a couple times, and then all of a sudden it just started to happen. All of a sudden, here's a national world championship, here's a major championship, here's a local state championship, and then it was just one after another. I just started to win, and once you start to win, you start to kind of believe it in yourself. And when it all happened together, when I finally got my first world speed shooting title at first 2006, I started to kind of realize that this could be something that I can be good at and really take this off and maybe become a career. So I started to really take a look back and go, I'm going to take this a little bit more seriously. I'm going to go harder than I ever have. Thought I was going hard enough, and I just took it to the next level and started chasing actual goals. Like, hey, maybe we can win a U.S. national title. Maybe we can win another world championship in a different division. Let's shoot iron sights versus let's shoot production. Other divisions. I started chasing those goals, and then it just started to happen for me after year after year. Shooting has opened doors for me that I never knew existed. It allowed for me to walk through paths that I never even thought was possible by just shooting. I now supported by great companies, and I get to shoot for them as a professional shooter. I don't do anything else but do this. I train guys, and I train the special forces. I train law enforcement. I train civilians to compete and all that stuff, right? And then while doing all that stuff, I'm still a family man. I'm still I still got a representative. I represent myself not only for my companies but myself, and to be the best I can out there. When it all happened, it literally, that was one of the first times I took a step back and thought about it and go, how did this all happen? And I remember just thinking, man, I was lucky enough to have had someone to push me hard early on. It wasn't always pleasant, it was always happy. It was hard, pushed me early on, and I was just someone that was crazy enough to stick around long enough to see things happen for me. Most people, I've seen it now in my career, most people get to really good, and just before they become great, they quit. And so there's a saying that I repeat over and over myself, and I've been told this a long time ago. Good is the enemy of great, because a lot of times people get good and they just don't work hard enough to become great. And all this fun that I'm having now was never fun when I was coming up on the rankings. It was never fun. It was always grinding. Even at the range right now, it's never fun. It's a lot more fun because I'm a lot more relaxed, and I don't have to source all these other things. I have a very deep network now in the gun industry because of what I've done in such a long time. Think about it. I've been in the industry per se since 1988 and really been embedded in it within the last 6-7 years. So when people ask me, how'd you get sponsored, this and that? Grind. How did you get this world championship? Grind. How did you win a national title? Grind. Just continue to work. Discipline and persistence is better than motivation any day. So I wasn't always motivated to track this. I live an hour and a half away. I don't want to drive today because I'm tired. Come to the range and train. Or if you don't go to the range, find a way to train and make yourself better. So that's how it all happened for me. Now I'm sitting on top of the world winning. I won a world championship recently just last year. I'm the current world production optic world champion. I would love to either repeat that or pick a different division and win another world championship. And now the career just seems like it's just starting to blow up for me, but it was 30 years of work prior to that, and now I'm just starting to reap the rewards. And so if you're aspiring to become a world champion, go out there and work. If you're willing to work and find the passion that you like, you'll find something that you will forever do without ever having to feel like you're working for it. Good luck. I'll see you out there in the range.